let's talk a little bit about the process you were using before to develop your material, and then how that changed. I mean, what would you do to come up with the material that you were using before you got a hold of my stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question, because before I was doing the typical, writing on paper, either in a notebook, mostly on the computer, typing it out. The biggest thing, though, is that I was so scripted. First of all, I have to admit that I had some uncomfortableness, if that's a word, on stage. I don't know if you want to call it stage fright, but I really was uncomfortable being on stage and being myself. So how I combated that was to become very scripted and very worried about the exact words. And Steve, when I say the exact words, I mean even the setups, like even everything had to be exactly the way I wrote it. Well, the problem with doing it that way is that, first of all, you're doing a lot of work to try to memorize and get the words perfect on something you don't even know if it's going to work. You don't even know if the premise is going to be something that's going to connect.
So are you saying that you were guessing? You were just merely guessing at what may or may not be funny before you hit the stage?
Yeah, and I was doing a lot of work. A lot of work went into that guessing, you know what I mean? Because I would script it out. I would memorize it. You know what I mean? I had to have every word perfect, and that's a lot of work when you don't even know if it's going to work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that was kind of my process, and of course, with that comes a lot of the typical writing problems, writer's block and kind of sitting there in front of the blank page, and then even I used to even beat myself up about not forcing myself to write so many hours a day. It became a chore because it just was not.
Yeah.
Again, my normal style is just to say things funny, meaning, when I'm telling a story to my friends and family, I'm cracking them up, not because I've scripted out the words or know the punchline. I just happen to have, whatever it is, the looks I give, the inflection in my voice. There's other things involved than just the words, and I think that's kind of, and I know we'll get into a lot more with the course and how I develop material now, but that was one of the biggest things, is just getting off the paper, getting more comfortable on stage, being able to be myself, and finding the ways I say things funny naturally, and the pauses and the looks and, all that kind of stuff that go with it. I guess the nonverbal communication so that was kind of the biggest shift for me. And yeah, the old process was like pulling teeth, because it just wasn't, to me that was like homework. That was not fun for me, and therefore I wouldn't do it. And then like I said, I would beat myself up because I didn't feel like I was putting the work in, because I wasn't sitting there staring at the computer and writing for hours a day, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure. And just so that folks know this and don't get misled, you do need to use paper, but you use it as an editing tool to tighten what it is that you want to say and make sure that your punchline frequency is there, as opposed to the other way around.